Hey, what's up everyone? This is Zach and I am here with a discography ranking video for you guys. Now for this ranking, I will be ranking the discography of Sevendust. Now, it's very surprising that I haven't done a ranking for this band yet, since I have been a Sevendust fan for a while now, ever since 2018 when All I See Is War came out. That was the album that got me into the band, and I've been a fan of the band ever since. And I think Sevendust overall is a very good band. It's very interesting how they kind of transformed their style and their sound. They started off with new metal and then they kind of went on over to more alternative metal stuff. But I don't think Sevendust has ever really had a bad album. Like, even though they've changed their sound slightly, I can't really say that it's for the worse or for the better. It just works. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it just works. So I think Sevendust overall is a very good band with a very strong discography for sure. And we'll be going from my least favorite to favorite or worst to best based off my opinion, of course. And I'm also not going to be including any live material, no EPs, no compilations. So that means no Time Travelers and Bonfires or whatever that album is called. So we're not going to be including that. Just the main studio albums from Sevendust. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, keep in mind, what's at the bottom, the two that I have last, I don't have in my collection currently on CD. But at some point, I might grab these two albums on CD. But currently, they're just not in my collection. But what I have last, it's got to be Chapter 7. This album has always been last for me. I think other fans would say the same thing, that this is probably their weakest album. It's not bad, it's just the least memorable album of theirs, and it's also the album of theirs that I return to the least. But I can't say that it's bad, though. It's not bad, it's just kind of decent or just okay, in my opinion. So next in my ranking, we've got Next, which I do think this album is not bad. I think it's a decent album. It's definitely not one of their best. Obviously, it's in the it is lower in this ranking, but I still think this album is not bad, though. I do like the song Pieces. That's definitely one of the highlights on this album. So Next, decent album, I'd say. So let's go ahead and move on to what's next. And the rest of the studio albums I do have on CD. But next, we've got Kill the Flaw. This is another album from Sevendust that's always been lower in my ranking. I mean, it's good. I like the album, but they've just had better albums. I definitely think they've had much stronger albums than this, but this is definitely not bad. There's some very good stuff on here. Thank You, which I think is a solid opening track. Maybe even my favorite on this album. And I do like the song Letters as well. That's another really good one. But Kill the Flaw, I like it, but I wouldn't say that I love it, though. It's never been an album that I've ever really been in love with. But it's definitely not bad, though. Okay, so next we've got Blood and Stone. Again, this is another album that I've liked, but I've never really loved it. It is good, but some of these tracks I do skip over when listening to this album. But there is some good stuff on here. Dying to Live, Love, Blood from a Stone. And my favorite on this album probably being Criminal. I really dig the melodies of that song. And then, of course, you have the Soundgarden cover on here, The Day I Tried to Live. It's a decent cover. I definitely prefer Soundgarden's version of that song, but this cover ain't too bad, though. But Blood and Stone, I like it, but again, I don't love it. So next we've got Alpha. Again, another album where I'd say I just like it, but don't love it. It is good, though. I still think it is a good album. There's some good stuff on this album. I'd say some of my favorites on this album would be Driven, Feed, Suffer, and Beg to Differ. Very solid songs for sure. Yeah, it's a good album, but it's never been top shelf Sevendust. And I think a lot of fans would say the same thing. But it is good, though. It's still a good album. Next, we've got Blackout the Sun. Overall, good album. I do like this one. Again, not one of their best, not top shelf Sevendust, but I do think it is a strong album, though. There's some very good stuff on here. I'd say some of my favorites on here would be Till Death, Cold as War, the title track, DK, Dark AM, and Murder Bar. These are very good songs. I do like these songs quite a bit, but Black Out the Sun, good album for sure, but just not one of their best, that's all. I mean, these albums got to be placed somewhere, right? So next in this ranking, Sevendust's most recent album, Truth Killer. And I do like this album. I do think it is good. I do remember when this album first dropped in 2023, and I did listen to it quite a bit when it came out, and I would say it is one of the best album releases of that year. Now, I will say, I don't listen to this album as much as I did when this album first came out, and maybe that's because when it comes to Sevendust, I just prefer their older material, their more new metal stuff. But I think Truth Killer is still a solid Sevendust album, and I think you get a good mix of everything on this album. You pretty much get the best of both worlds when it comes to Sevendust on this album, which is one of the reasons why I do appreciate this album, and I do think it is a very strong Sevendust album. But this album definitely has some very solid tracks. You've got the title track, Holy Water, Sick Mouth, Love and Hate, and Fence. Many good songs for sure. So, Truth Killer, I like this album. I do think it is good. Is it their best work? No, but still very strong, I'd say. Still a very strong Sevendust release. So next in this ranking, Cold Day Memory. Definitely a great album, and I've even seen some Sevendust fans say that this is top shelf Sevendust, like it's a top 3 Sevendust album. I don't think I would go that far personally, but that's an opinion that I can respect for sure, because I do think that this album is very strong. It is a very good album. Of course, you have Unraveling, you have Last Breath, and Better Place. Many solid tracks on here, but yeah, Cold Day Memory, I do like this one. I do think it is a very strong Sevendust album, and I think it's well produced and everything, and yeah, very solid material. So Cold Day Memory, I do like this one. I do think it is great. Okay, so I believe now we are in the top 5. Okay, so next at number 5, All I See Is War. Now again, I did become a Sevendust fan when this album dropped. This was in the era whenever I got into Sevendust. This was the album that got me into the band. And of course, you know it's a great album when it's good enough to get me into the band. I mean, this was the album that got me hooked and everything. And this album has many great songs. And I think of their post-nu metal stuff, like their alternative metal era or the era of the 2010s, whatever you want to call it, I think that this is the best in that era and the best of their more modern era. But I would say that some of my favorites on this album would be the opening track, Dirty. Really like that one. Medicated, really great song that has some strong melody. Great vocals from LeJean for sure. Unforgiven, I do like. And Sickness. Sickness, I think, is a pretty underrated Sevendust track. I do like Moments. I think that song's also kind of underrated, and I think that song has some of LeJean's best vocals on this album. I also like Not Original. Life Deceives You is pretty good. And then The Truth, which is one of the heavier tracks on this album, and a great way to close this album, too. But All I See Is War, a great album, and again, I do think it is the best of their more modern stuff, or their more recent stuff. So All I See Is War, great album, and that's what's coming in at number 5. And really good production on this album, too. So at number 4, now to be honest, number 3 and number 4, they could flip-flop, they could go back and forth for me, because it's really hard to decide which of these two albums I like more, because they're both pretty much on that same level. But for this video's purposes, I decided to place this at number 4, because what I have at number 3, I just happen to enjoy more overall as an album. But what's at number 4, I still think is a very strong Sevendust album. So what we got at number 4 is Animosity. which is definitely one of their classics for sure. Great album. I'd say some of my favorites on this one would be Praise, Trust, Crucified, Dead Set, Damaged, Live Again, and of course you got the closing track, Angel Sun, which is a fan favorite on this one, and just in general, a fan favorite Sevendust song. But yeah, this album is great. It has some of their best material. Again, it was really hard deciding which album I liked more, this album or what's at number 3, but we'll get there. But Animosity, I do like this one. I like how raw this album is, and just the songwriting is strong and everything. But yeah, Animosity I do think is great. Definitely a top 5 Sevendust album. I mean, I don't think any Sevendust fan would really disagree with this being somewhere in the top 5. I mean, I think most Sevendust fans would say that Animosity is definitely a top 5 Sevendust record, but great album. But at number 3, we've got Seasons, which is the follow-up to Animosity. And overall, a very strong follow-up. Now again, I had a difficult time deciding which one I liked more, this one or Animosity, but I really like Seasons. I think Seasons is a very underrated Sevendust album. I have always enjoyed this one ever since I first listened to it. It has no skips. It's just such a great album from start to finish, front to back. Many great songs on here. Disease, Enemy, which is just fun and catchy. Broken Down, again, another fun, catchy song. Very upbeat. Separate, really great song. The Skeleton song, I think, is kind of a unique song for Sevendust. It kind of slows things down a bit. You got Suffocate and Gone. Gone is also a great track off this album. And then, of course, you have the closing track, Face to Face. But great album. A great album for sure. So Seasons is coming in at number 3. Great album. And again, pretty underrated. So the top 2, it's a no-brainer for me. These albums have never left my top 2 in this particular order too. But at number 2, we've got their self-titled debut album, Sevendust. A great album, and probably them at their most raw. I really dig this album a lot. This album just has no skips whatsoever. It's definitely one of their best. Many great songs on here, such as Black, Terminator, Too Close to Hate, Wired, Prayer, Speak. And of course you have the closing track on here, which is one of Sevendust's heaviest songs, Born to Die. This song is just fantastic. It's brutal. It's intense. It's just a very brutal song for Sevendust too. So the self-titled album, really dig this one. Definitely one of their best. Some fans might even place it at number 1. And honestly, I can't argue with that because I do think this album is solid. It's that great. But yeah, the debut album I do think is solid. It's definitely one of their best. So that's what's coming in at number 2. But at number 1 though, you probably already know what it is at this point. This album has never left my number 1 spot. And that would, of course, be Sevendust's second album, Home. And I think this album is just fantastic, front to back, start to finish. I mean, you got many great songs on here, such as Denial, which is very catchy, and maybe even my favorite Sevendust song, too. Like, if you were to make me choose my all-time favorite Sevendust song, I might go with Denial. I don't know. I love that song. I think it's solid. I think it's great. You also have Reconnect, Waffle, and Crumbled, also great tracks. Feel So is also great. And then, of course, the closing track, Bender, is great. Really, you can't go wrong with anything off this album. I think it's just very solid. I think it's great. And I'd say it's Sevendust's best album. It has some of their best material and everything. So Home is what's coming in at number 1, and I've always considered it to be my favorite album from Sevendust. But let me know what you think. What is your ranking for Sevendust? Feel free to let me know in the comments. And what did you think of this ranking? Feel free to let me know. So, are you a fan of Sevendust? Feel free to let me know in the comments. So with that said, thank you all for watching. Take care and have a good one.